So, over the last 12 months, my team and I have conducted over 1,500 sales calls, and one of the most common objections we face is the objection, "I'll think about it." In this regard, I decided to record this video while walking my dog right over there. To help you with what I personally use for myself and my entire team to overcome this objection. But first, let's actually look at what objections are, because if we want to overcome something, we first have to understand it. What does the objection, "I'll think about it," actually represent? Well, put very simply in a few words. When a client tells you, "I'll think about it," it means they're simply not convinced that the payment they'll be making to you is worth it compared to the value you can provide to them. That's the whole idea. There's nothing complicated about it. There's no point in overcomplicating the entire concept. If you can imagine, on one side, the money he'll give you, and on the other side, the value you provide, that value must always outweigh the payment itself. The moment he says, "I'll think about it," it means he's not convinced that's the case. And what you need to do is to convince him that the value is greater than the payment. So in this regard, we need to see why he doesn't realize it yet, this thing. What I always do at the beginning is that I lower the tension by agreeing with him. What do I mean? When a person has an objection, whatever it may be, they go into defensive mode, they take a defensive stance. And if we start saying things to them like, "But no," or "You said we're moving forward," or "It's not that expensive, come on, let's do it," and so on, and start arguing with him, it will only make him raise his guard even more. That is, the stronger the objection, the more skeptical the person is, and they have their guard up against us. In other words, they feel something isn't right. And when we start arguing with them, that feeling only intensifies. Our idea is exactly the opposite. Our idea is, if he has his guard up right now, not to make him raise it even more, but on the contrary, to make him lower his guard. How do we do this in practice? We acknowledge his feelings and thoughts. Note that I say acknowledge, not agree with them. The moment someone sees that we respect and validate their feelings and emotions, they start to feel understood by us, and that automatically makes them lower their guard. So, the first thing I always do when someone tells me I need to think about it is, of course, no problem at all. It's literally that. I say, yeah, okay, no problem at all. Of course, you need to think it over. Or for instance, what we do in our business, which is actually the largest mentoring program for fighting osteoporosis in Europe, is that many of the women who have osteoporosis tell me I need to think it over. And the first thing I tell them is, of course, no problem at all. By the way, many of the women who have already joined our mentoring program also wanted to think it over at first, so I completely understand you. This way I validate their feelings and their desire, and so they feel understood. And actually, what happens is that this way, the lady lets her guard down against me much faster. She already feels in a much safer environment. Only after I've said these words, when she's already let her guard down, I then ask her one of the training questions. Specifically the question, what specifically would you like to think about? Or if the client is a man, what specifically would you like to think about? And this question works absolutely everywhere, no matter if you're B2B or B2C, no matter if you're selling a dietary supplement, a book, consultations, services, a marketing agency, or whatever else. Just ask the person directly, what specifically would you like to think about? And this is the most basic, easy question, which actually it literally helps you, instead of just guessing, instead of you putting words in the other person's mouth, to actually let them say for themselves, in their own words, what specifically they want to think about. And you'll see actually that to a large extent the reason is that they just don't see enough value yet. And very often what they say is, well, I need to think about whether I can afford this amount. Or I just need to think about whether this money is worth it. And then you need to help them make the best decision and explain to them that the value weighs more than the price for this thing that you're selling. How does it work in practice? How is it what we do? In most cases, they say, I just need to decide if it's worth it, if it's worth this price. And what I do is I tell them the following thing. Okay? Of course, no problem at all. Am I to understand that you're a person who wants to make a conscious and wise decision about the choice of whether to buy this thing or not, right? And he says, yes, obviously, nobody's going to say, no, I don't want to make a conscious and rational decision. I want to act. No, they'll say, yes, exactly. I want to make the best decision. I want to see if it's worth it. And then you tell them the following thing. Okay, in that case, I suggest the following. Do you want to do a calculation? What has it cost you so far? What does it cost you not to solve this problem, and what will change, what won't change if you solve it? Or on the other hand, like how much will it actually cost you to pay for this program or this product? In other words, that's the idea. The idea is that every single product that we sell, it sells some kind of solution to a problem. We sell a dream, we sell a result, and we should always talk about the result, the solution to the problem, and not about our product. And let's say specifically in our business with osteoporosis, we sell a mentoring program that helps women improve their bone density. In other words, we fight osteoporosis. And what I tell them is this. Okay, look, let's do it this way. I suggest, since it's really most important to make a rational and conscious decision, do you want to calculate how much it has cost you so far over these 4 years, not being able to improve your bone density? And on the other hand, let's do a simple calculation of how much it will cost you later if you continue to do nothing about it, and compare the price against those things. And ultimately, if you decide, and look, here I'm giving the choice for the woman not to buy from me, I say the following. And so now, when we have both sides of the coin, you can make a conscious and rational decision. Is it actually worth paying the investment to improve your bone density, or is it rather not worth it? In either case, I'm completely okay with it. I have nothing against it. But do you want to lay out all the facts so we're sure it's the best decision? And they always say yes. Who wouldn't want the best decision? Who wouldn't want facts? Who wouldn't want everything to be brought out into the open? Everyone wants to make the best decision. Your goal is not to convince the person to buy from you. Your goal is to convince them to make the best decision. And if you know that your product is the best solution, then it becomes easy. But for that purpose, you really must have the best solution. And in this regard, you need to know very well your ideal client, the product you're selling them, and what painful problem it solves for that ideal client. In this case, what we do then, since we sell a treatment, what we ask is, okay, how much has it cost you so far to have osteoporosis? How much money have you spent on medicine, on injections? How has it affected you on an emotional level? How has it affected your self-esteem, your authenticity, your freedom? Would you allow yourself to be a burden to your family? And actually, these are very real questions. Realistically, after we clarify how much it has cost so far, not being able to solve this problem, the second thing we do is, okay, how much will it cost you in the future if you keep putting off solving this problem? And she starts listing again. Well, these medicines cost me this, that, and the other cost me. And she realizes it's quite expensive. And finally, I ask, okay, well, what are the alternatives? What are the other options? And she then says, well, medicine, injections, or just giving up. And actually, we conclude that our mentoring program is the best option for her because all the other options are not as good. And I'm not saying this for the sake of manipulation or just persuasion, but we've created such a good product that this is a fact. So when you have a truly high quality product that really has a competitive advantage and you know that it truly helps your ideal client, then it's very easy to sell. And actually, we just do the math like that, and I let them reach, and I say, okay, well, we have everything written down now. How much has it cost you so far not to solve this problem? How much will it cost you in the future? What has it cost you on a financial, emotional, time, energy, and every other level? If you, let's say, are business owners and you're, say, a marketing agency, what you can do is the following. Let's say your fee is 2,000 euros a month, which is a solid amount for a marketing agency if, say, it does email marketing and Facebook ads. And your client says, I need to think about it. I understand. No problem at all. Let me just ask you, what specifically do you want to think about? What they'll say is, well, I need to think about whether I can invest such an amount, whether I can spend more money. What you immediately tell them is, yes, I completely understand. Many of the business owners I've worked with have told me the exact same thing at the start. And I guess what you actually want to think about is whether this is a good investment and if it'll have the necessary return for your business. They say, yes, exactly. And then you ask the following, okay, let me ask you then. What are the components? Let's say you could ask, what are the components for whether a decision is good, specifically in your business? Well, I give 2,000 euros, but I take out 3,000. Either euros or whatever. I give 4,000, but I take out 8,000 and so on. What you'll do is the following. You ask, Okay, well, let's actually take stock. You told me a bit earlier that you're looking for, actually, why are you looking for someone to run your Facebook ads and email marketing? Well, because I don't have enough clients. How many clients do you have right now? 10 clients at, okay, at how much? At 200 leva? Okay, how much is that? 2,000 leva or 2,000 euros? Okay, 2,000 euros. Okay, and what was our goal together? Well, my goal is 40 clients. Okay, so you're looking for 40 clients, but right now you only have 10. So every month you're losing 30 potential clients because for a year now you've been putting off working with an agency. Could you tell me, actually missing 30 clients every month, how much have you lost from that so far? 30 clients at 200 euros, that's 6,000 euros. So you're telling me that if over the last year you've been putting off working with a marketing agency that would bring you 40 clients, which I'm 100% sure we can help you with, you've been losing every month for a year, 30 clients, 6,000 euros. And now you're telling me that it's worth continuing to lose 6,000 euros a month because you don't want to pay 2,000 euros now? Do you see what my point is? My idea is this. On one side, I put the investment for my product or service. On the other side, the value of what I provide. My value must always weigh much more than my price. And whatever your product is, your service, your business, you need to dedicate a lot of time to make this a reality. For your value, your business's value, to truly weigh more than the prices you set. And not just as a belief, but as a fact. When this is a fact and you know it's the best solution for your client, you just have to help them reach that best decision. Actually, the best salespeople aren't manipulators. They are leaders, and they help the client not just to buy, but to find the best solution to their problem. I wish you success. Let me know in the comments what other topics you'd like me to cover.